All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about what might just be the trial of the century in Brazil. The country's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, is in the hot seat. But as you're about to see, the line between justice and politics in this case is, well, it's practically invisible. And the stakes here are astronomically high. We're not talking about a fine or a slap on the wrist. If he's convicted on every charge, Bolsonaro is looking at up to 43 years in prison. Just think about that number. It's a career-ending, life-altering sentence. So, you'd think this would be a real nail-biter, right? A total toss-up with everyone on the edge of their seats. But what if it's not? That's the real question hanging over this entire affair. Is the outcome actually in doubt? So, let's break it down. Officially, this is a historic moment. Brazil's Supreme Court is trying a former president for allegedly trying to pull off a coup and tear down democracy after the 2022 election. No matter how you slice it, it's a massive deal. And these aren't minor charges. We're talking about an attempted coup d'etat, trying to violently overthrow the government and running a criminal organization. But here's where it gets really interesting. The attorney general who brought these charges wasn't picked from a list of career prosecutors. Nope. He was handpicked by Bolsonaro's #1 political enemy, President Lula. Okay, so this is where the story takes a really sharp turn. In a trial this important, you'd expect the judges to be, completely neutral, totally impartial. But let's meet the panel who will decide Bolsonaro's fate. First up, we have Justice Cristiano Zanin, and this is a big one. For more than 10 years, he wasn't just a lawyer for President Lula, he was Lula's personal lawyer, the guy who got him through his own legal messes. Now he's sitting as a judge in the trial of his old client's biggest rival. You can see why that raises a few eyebrows. And believe it or not, the connections just keep coming. Next, we have Justice Flavio Dino. Before he put on the judge's robes, guess what his job was? He was serving in President Lula's cabinet as his Minister of Justice. He's even filed a lawsuit against Bolsonaro before. Now, this next one is a real head-scratcher, especially if you're used to a U.S.-style legal system. Meet Justice Alexander de Moraes. He actually has 2 jobs in this trial. He's the lead investigator who ran the whole pretrial operation, and he's one of the 5 judges who gets to vote on the verdict. He's basically the prosecutor and a juror rolled into one. All right, let's just pause and take stock of this lineup, because it's something else. You've got the prosecutor, handpicked by Lula. You've got 2 judges who were literally on Lula's team, one his personal lawyer, the other his top minister. Then you have the lead investigator who's also a judge. The only one who seems to be on the outside of this web is Justice Luis Fux. It's a pretty cozy circle. So, to make sense of all this, you have to understand that the rulebook for this trial is probably very different from what you're imagining. It's a whole different ballgame. And this comparison really lays it all out. First, forget a jury of your peers. That's not happening here. The whole thing is decided by just these 5 justices. And that rapporteur system we just talked about, it completely merges the jobs of investigator and judge, something that's a huge no-no in systems with a strict separation of powers. And how they reach a verdict is actually pretty simple. Justice de Moraes, the investigator judge, goes first. He lays out the entire case and then casts his vote. Then the other 4 judges vote one by one. All you need is 3 votes to go one way, and that's it. Verdict decided. Okay, so we know who the players are and we know the rules of the game, so what are we actually going to hear argued inside that courtroom? It's going to be a clash of 2 totally different stories. The prosecution's case is straightforward. Bolsonaro was the ringleader, he knew about the coup plans, he gave them the green light, and he was trying to cling to power. But the defense is going to come back swinging, saying key evidence is invalid, there's no smoking gun with Bolsonaro's direct orders, and that the whole process has been unfair from the start. Right, so this whole thing isn't just happening in a Brazilian bubble. The whole world is watching, and there's a ton of international drama playing out in the background that's adding even more fuel to the fire. The relationship between Brazil and the United States is pretty tense right now, and this trial is right in the middle of it. The U.S. has actually sanctioned the lead judge, de Moraes, under a serious human rights law. And get this, it's not just him. 4 out of the 5 judges on this very trial have had their U.S. visas revoked. That's a huge diplomatic statement. So when you put all of these pieces together, the politically connected judges, their personal histories, the strange legal process, the international pressure, It forces us right back to that question we asked at the very beginning. And this is really the heart of the whole debate, isn't it? When the prosecutor is handpicked by your biggest rival, and when key judges used to work for that same rival, can you really have a fair, impartial trial? It's the million-dollar question. And that leads us to this final thought, which perfectly captures the entire controversy. It asks, is the outcome truly uncertain, or are we just watching the final act of a script that's already been drafted? It's a question that really makes you think about what justice even means when a case is this politically charged.